Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your council chambers for our regular meeting on Wednesday, February the 11th. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being audio, video recorded, and live streamed on the Town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which is retained in accordance with the town's retention bylaw. And if you want more information about that retention bylaw, you can contact the clerk's office. I would now ask Councillor Ices if he would deliver the land acknowledgement statement.
The town of Innisfil acknowledges that Innisfil is situated on treaty land and is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. And we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you, Councillor Ices. Just before we get started this evening, I wanted to let everyone know that the town of Innisfil has lowered our town flags in support of the community of Tumbler Ridge, BC. We extend our deepest condolences to Mayor Daryl Krakwak and the residents of Tumbler Ridge, and let them know that our thoughts are with them and the families of the victims during this terrible time. We'll now go to item 2 on the agenda, which is open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for people to speak to items that are on the council agenda. So we've had 3 people sign up ahead of time, and then we have 2 other new names that signed up in person here tonight. So we'll have 5 altogether. I'd ask everybody to please keep your comments to 2 minutes, as we do have a really full agenda tonight, and we have a closure time of 10 p.m. So that would be much appreciated. So the first person I'll call up is Kenneth Siggins. Mr. Siggins, whenever you're ready. You can use that mic right there, Mr. Siggins.
All right, hello. Okay, good evening, Mayor Dolan and Council. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. My name's Ken Siggins. I'm a resident of Innisfil. I live in Stroud. I've been here for 25 years. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. Okay, what's the cost? We've had a couple of crazy years leading up to this. Due to the COVID pandemic, I think our kids were set back quite a bit. Now we have this setback again in Stroud with the community arena. It's our social infrastructure in Stroud. A lot of kids use it. My children have used it. I have a 13-year-old that uses it still. Yesterday I started a petition, never done that before. I got over 100 signatures. And everybody was positive that they wanted to see the town fix the arena and move forward as soon as possible. You know, the budget constraints, cost of repairs, future repairs, you know, these are things we all have to consider in any, you know, renovation. As we know, it can go sideways and there's more costs involved. But I think the cost to the community of losing the arena or too much time being taken to get the arena back up and running might be detrimental to our community, for the kids, and for everybody. Seniors, everybody uses that space. The whole complex is used very well, I would think. My children are always at the library. I know the farmers market in the summer, we're always going there. And those things I see proposed to keep open, but I think the arena is a really important part of the whole complex. Innisfil's growing, so is Stroud. And it's crucial infrastructure that we need. And to stop the function of the arena for years, who knows, or, decide to do construction that may take many more years. I think we're going to lose out on a whole group of children in Stroud that have no place to go play in a safe manner. People need somewhere in the community they can go, and that's a big draw with Stroud. We have a community center our kids can walk to. They can go ice skating, they can go to the skate park, they can do all those things there. I think if we don't decide that we're going to fix the arena as soon as possible in a timely manner for the community, that a lot of kids may lose out. And seniors as well. I know seniors use the upstairs part, and it's very well used from what I've seen, and it's a big part of the community. Innisfil only has 3 arenas, 2 pads, one there and then one in the south. And I don't think we could survive on just 3 pads in the town of Innisfil. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Siggins. Next, we have Nina Lacosta. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Nina Lacosta. I'm here to speak about the temporary closure of Stroud Community Center. A closure that's anything but temporary in its impact. This facility is the heartbeat of our community. The Innisfil pop-up market, which I organize, directly depends on this venue. If this venue closes permanently, we will become yet another Innisfil small business pushed out to Barrie and surrounding towns. But this isn't just about my business, it's about our entire community. The banquet hall provides programs, as earlier said, where groups of children to seniors can find connection and community. It hosts young couples celebrating their weddings, students marking their graduations, and countless community gatherings that bind us together. The arena doesn't just sit empty in the off-season. It hosts events, offers family-friendly programming, amongst others, and provides ice time for our local ice hockey teams. And now I'm hearing about a Band-Aid fix, shipping our teams off to Barrie with no clarity on how long that will last. This is a pattern of passing the buck, which I don't think that many in the community can afford. Closing community centers instead of maintaining them, or failing to preserve our facilities for the longevity of community for generations to come. I have a question for council, and why are yearly inspections not being done to ensure small issues don't turn into large issues that then require closures? Prevention is always cheaper than emergency repairs. My request is don't look to the town to foot the entire bill, thus passing costs along to residents who have already suffered another tax increase. Instead, I implore you to explore innovative funding models. Barrie found a solution. In 2022, they approved a naming rights agreement with the Peggy Hill Realty team for the former Holly Community Center. The deal, $80,000 per year over an 8-year period, which brought the city, $640,000. The facility was renamed, sharing the financial responsibility while keeping the doors open. And I believe we can do the same. I urge you to save the Stroud Community Center, find creative partnerships, and implement preventative maintenance. And most importantly, keep our community connected. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lacosta. And to let you know, anybody who's speaking here tonight on item C8, which is Stroud Arena, that item and your question will be answered when we get to that item on the agenda, and that's when council will have a fulsome debate on the subject. And we have one more, Gord Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. My name is Gord Thompson. I'm a director and past president of the Stroud Curling Club, and I'd like to speak in favor of the staff report that has been put forward for repairs to the Stroud Arena and banquet hall. I'm a longtime resident of the town. I was here when the original building was put up, and I witnessed a lot of the pieces going together when it went in there. The building is old. It's 50 years old now, and but the basic structure is solid. It's a steel structure with a lot of infilling with block, but it's something, I guess I should mention, I'm a professional engineer, done a lot of work in heavy construction. I'm not a structural engineer though, and I would certainly be in favor of whatever studies get done. But in the end, repairs that are done to the existing building, I think will be well placed. In the long run, after they complete the studies about renovating the existing building or building a new one, I'm pretty certain we'll find that the costs are going to be much, much lower on a renovation. And the money that we put into it now, most of it can be saved. Maybe not all, but most of it. And certainly the planned expenditures over the next 3 years would be saved and well used. So from the point of view of the curling club, we would like to see the existing facility saved. We'd like to see the money spent on the renovations that you're looking at right now, in spite of the fact the club is still operational because most of the problems are on the other part of the building. But we believe that it's a good long-term investment to do the proposed repairs. And certainly we support the recommendations by the staff.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to the people who signed up this evening, the first one being Joseph Cotta, regards to item C1.
So I delegated last time on the animal bylaws, and now I'm your personal experiment for going through the DOLA system. So I will tell you, it's garbage. I got no voice, so you guys basically have silenced me at this point. So you're silencing victims at this point. I've been through hell and back through this whole journey, and I will tell you right now, what you guys are doing, it's shameful. You guys getting rid of laws that never needed to be changed, and the only reason why this came up was from my situation. You guys stand up for teens and stuff. What if this happened to a teen? What if a teen got attacked? Do you know what this has done to my mental health? What are we doing about this? The options that you guys are giving is ridiculous, and it's nowhere near to what is going on in other towns. You guys are taking examples from northern towns where these people don't use our resources, they don't want to move here. We should be taking examples from places like Bradford, Newmarket, and Toronto. Places where the bylaws state that a dangerous dog is a dangerous dog. You guys are all responsible for this. Why are you guys deflecting on your responsibilities? This is showing everything and right before an election, so I do want you to remember that. I have over 500 signatures of people from our town wanting to keep these laws and actually make them stronger. So what are we doing? Because last time, I delegated and got no questions asked to me when I had all the answers. You guys reflected to Mitchell Harris, who had no answers for you guys. This is the head of our animal control. What are we doing?
We want to hear from you, Mr. Cotta, but this is a house of government and you need to speak respectfully.
I'm speaking very respectfully. My dog was murdered in my arms. I gave you guys evidence, 2 time-stamped videos after the fact of the dog loose. You guys did nothing. You guys have laws, and these laws were in place when this happened to me. So this is criminal at this point. You guys have done nothing. Your own clerk knows my dog personally. Ann Norris knows my dog. My dog was harmless. This other dog had killed another dog. I've given you guys evidence of it from the other owners. Nothing has been done. Why? Why is this being deflected so hard? I just don't understand. Why do the laws need to be house kept? You guys are getting rid of something. You're going backwards. That's what you're doing to this town, and it's ridiculous. Like, what's next? These people harassed us. They've done the most atrocious thing. My dog was my world. That was my child. We're moving forward in Canada, trying to make pets family members. This is not the place to be taking away laws that protect us. Your new system doesn't work. The penalties to the other person was a $250 fine. Do you think that's just?
If Mr. Cotta, when we get to your item C1, and it'll be debated at that time, at open forum, your opportunity is to give us information, not to
I'm giving you
create
the
a
information. I
debate.
wasn't asked any questions last time. I found that very disrespectful considering the amount of information I provided you guys. I've also emailed you guys a whole bunch of other bylaws that carry the Dangerous Dog Act. Your response to me, Lynn, was you didn't want to make tough decisions. If that's the case, why are you the mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Cotta.
Exactly.
Next, we'll go to Cole Mundy, and that's also item C1.
I'm Cole Monday and Joey Coda. Good evening, members of council. I would like to give you a chance to reconsider the horrible decisions being made by your bylaw, directly the choices of your very own Mitchell Harris, animal control supervisor, to cover his laziness and inabilities as a leader in our animal bylaw system. You know who
I'll
I am.
remind you once again, you use respectful language here. It's a house of government.
I'm not cursing, I'm being pretty respectful. I'm being honest and truthful. I know it hurts to hear. This is what I do daily. I'm truthful and honest. May I continue?
You may continue.
Thank you. You know who I am, and you know why I continue to show face at these meetings. What you don't know is the daily pain and struggle along with mental health issues caused by the inability to act when it came to our child and personal support animal who was unjustly killed. These incomprehensible acts are unacceptable for a growing town. When my child was murdered by a known dangerous dog in your town, nothing was done without repeated phone calls, emails, pressure for you to make an easy choice. As it is very clear to me, I'm sorry to say this council doesn't have the capability to manage its own bylaw. I'm going to be real and honest and say it as it is. The choices made by your bylaw are criminal. I recommend Mitchell Harris find the courage and confidence required.
That's enough. We'll cut the mics now. I'm sorry. That's not being respectful. You can't harass our staff. I apologize. You can disagree with them all you want, but you can't disrespect them. Thank you. So we will have this discussion at item C1. So we will go now to item 3, which is the approval of the agenda. And we have a motion to approve the agenda. We did have some agenda repair required for this evening. We did have item C8 that was added on February 6th, and we also added the special council meeting minutes from January 21st, which were not on the original report that was on the website. So could I please ask for a mover and a seconder to approve as amended, please? Moved by Councillor Constantine, seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, I'll ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Does anyone have a conflict or a disclosure of interest? Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you during the meeting, please let us know at that time. And next we go to presentations and petitions. Our first presentation is from the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee with their annual update. Whenever you're ready, please.
Good evening, Mayor Dolan, members of council, staff, and attendees. Thank you for the opportunity to present the annual update from the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee. I'm honored to highlight key accomplishments from 2025 and will also outline the priorities for this year. So at this time, I would like to acknowledge our committee members. Firstly, our chair, Deputy Mayor Fowler, Vice Chair Deb Crawford, she would not be here today. Also, I would like to recognize other committee members, which Sarah Allen is here. On my left, you will see Ms. Karen Mahoney here, and Genevieve DeVries, Elaine Splatt, and myself, Alka Wadwana here. Also, I would like to recognize our Town of Innisfil's staff. They have been incredibly valuable to the committee. Kevin Jacob, who is the deputy clerk, Stephen Montgomery, the supervisor of development planning, Brandon Correa, manager of land use planning. I have to go to the next slide now. At this time, I would like to talk about property research and evaluation. I would like to mention that as a committee in 2025, we engaged and collaborated with property owners as they are a valuable source of information. Also, with our Town of Innisfil staff, we reviewed historical records to determine properties' potential heritage values. And further, the process also involved extensive collaboration with the Land Registry Office. Then we provided our recommendations to the Council for designation. Next slide is about property research and evaluation. In 2025, based on our recommendations, 2 properties were designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. The first one is the 6th Line Cemetery which is located at 6800 Yonge Street. And the second one is St. Andrew's by the Lake Church, which is located at 3857 30th Side Road. We will be presenting a plaque to them in the next couple of months. Let me talk about a little bit more about the education and promotion. So as a committee together, we used the Municipal Heritage Register as one key source. And we developed informational material on heritage conservation. And further to raise awareness and provide education about heritage, we actually organized a Stroud Heritage Walk, which I will share more details in the next slide. Also, myself and members of our committee are presenting today to celebrate the Ontario Heritage Week this month. Committee members also participated in the conference to learn more about how do we further support our heritage in the town. Additionally, a heritage-related session, which was held at Lafroy United Church, Grange Hall, where we had an opportunity to share the importance of preserving our heritage values. Also in the Heritage Property Awards program, where we recognized a property that helped preserve, restore, and enhance local heritage. I will mention later in the presentation which property has been recognized under this program. Our next slide is about the Heritage Walk. Since 2024, the Lafroy Heritage Walk was very popular and very well attended. We organized the walk at Stroud. Almost 100 people came together to learn about the history and the heritage of Stroud. My takeaway, and I think everyone's takeaway, to be honest, was how a 9-year-old student was taking notes and learning about our heritage. And I have to say that we definitely are making an impact. Our key priorities for 2026 are continue researching and evaluating properties, also recommend properties for designation by December 31st, 2026. Also, our goal is to strengthen property owners' engagement and continuously expand educational opportunities with stakeholders. Our goal is to continue advocating for properties on the Heritage Register and Cookstown Heritage Conservation District. Also organize another Heritage Walk, and location yet to be determined, so please look out in a couple of months when we have decided a location. The next goal, our next one is the Heritage Property Award winner. We would like to recognize the Bailey family of 27 Queen Street in Cookstown. We acknowledge the family's contribution to the heritage preservation. Please, everyone, give them a big, big round of applause. Thank you. At this time, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the council for their ongoing support in preserving our heritage in our town. So thank you again, everyone, so much. And we still have a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions about the committee or the heritage-related questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much to members of the committee. Very much appreciated. Questions or comments from council? Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. Just a comment of thanks to the committee. I was on the Stroud Heritage Walk, and it was just a great environment to see your community in a different light, and go back in time, and the speakers that were involved just really told a great story of our past and something that we can be proud of. So thank you for that, and we look forward to more similar events during Heritage Time.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? I would just like to say congratulations. I think the Heritage Walks have been hugely successful, starting with the one in Lafroy and then the one in Stroud. Both really well attended, and also to point out that on tonight's agenda is the proclamation for Ontario Heritage Week. So congratulations, and thank you for all of your volunteering and all of your hard work. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. I believe we have the Bailey family here tonight to do the presentation for the award. And on a side note, I have never worked with so many hardworking ladies in my life. The amount of paperwork they delve into is unbelievable. So thank you.
I'll take a couple, okay? All right, here we go. One more. Thank you.
going to ask everybody to just squeeze in a little bit. Okay, thank you. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight, and I can assure you that Mrs. Coleman would be very, very proud of the work that you've done in the house, and I'm sure she's smiling right now. So thank you. A mover and a seconder, please, for the recommendation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Zanella. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Our next presentation or delegation is from Balkrishan Sharma, and it's regarding a request for community water fluoridation. Whenever you're ready, sir.
So good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank this house to giving me an opportunity to present my request. My name is Balkrishan Sharma. I am a physician at RVH, and I moved in Innisfil area during COVID time, like in 2021, and I am living at Innisfil Height Crescent. So you can call me Ball, but I introduce myself as Dr. Sharma. The reason for that is when I say Sharma, I express my gratitude to my elders and parents who brought me in this universe. And when I say doctor, that reminds me my duty towards society who has done so much for me. So with that duty, I am here for a request for community water fluoridation in our area. So, so what is fluoride and what is water fluoridation? So fluoride is a mineral naturally found in water, food and soil. Food, particularly tea, is rich in fluoride. And why we need fluoride? To prevent caries, dental caries. So dental caries is not simple cavity in the teeth. It can cause multiple complications. It can cause abscess formation. Bacteria from abscess can go in blood, can cause sepsis, can cause death. The bacteria can infect the heart, can cause valvular problems. Bacteria can cause stroke. So it is not a simple dental decay or caries, not a simple thing. It can have multiple, it can cause multiple diseases too. So the recommended dose to prevent dental caries, like fluoride prevent dental caries, and the recommended dose is 3 to 4 milligram in adults. Of course, in kids, based on their age and weight, it varies. And the recommended fluoride levels in drinking water supply is 0.6 to 0.7 milligram per liter. And this is from Health Canada. And the fluoride toxic dose is 10 milligram daily. So if you take chronically fluoride more than 10 milligram, it can cause fluorosis. So what is community water fluoridation? So the communities adjust amount of fluoride in the drinking water to the optimal level so as to prevent dental decay and promote health. Fluoridation of drinking water is amongst top 10 public health achievements of 20th century as per CDC of US. And as a public health measure, community water fluoridation is safe. It has been in use for the last 7 decades. 74% of Ontario public is getting fluoridated water, but unfortunately not in Barrie, Innisfil, and Aurelia area. Our neighbor, Tecumseh, they also stopped like us, but they reinitiated in 2022. Calgary, they started water fluoridation in 1993, but they stopped in 2011. But they restarted in 2025 when they saw how it has affected the health of the people by comparing it with Edmonton. So water fluoridation is effective. It reduces tooth decay or caries by 25 to 30%, both in kids as well as in adults. It is cost effective. If you spend $1, you can save $5 to $93, depending on the size of the community. If the community is a bigger size, you will save more. If the community is smaller size, you may save less. But it is cost effective. And it provides equity, like it is for everybody, whether one is rich, whether one is poor, whether one is homeless. Like it is same if you provide it in water, everybody is getting the advantage of that. First of all, even if we elect you people, you don't get 100% votes. Even for water fluoridation also, there will be people who will be against that, right? So there are two ways to go. One is, like we do community water fluoridation, and the people who do not want fluoride in their water, they can use reverse osmosis to take the fluoride out. The second way out is you don't do water fluoridation, but you provide supplements like tablets, like fluoride in the salt or fluoride in the milk. So whosoever wants supplement can use, whosoever does not want supplement, don't use, right? But the first one, like fluoridating the water, is a better option, and whosoever doesn't want, they can use reverse osmosis instrument to take the fluoride out. Unfortunately, we do not have fluoride supplements in the form of tablets or fluoridated salt or fluoridated milk in Canada over the counter. So we are left with no option, like it is inadequate in our water, and there are no supplements available in the drugstore. There are some countries in Europe that do not do water fluoridation, but they have over-the-counter supplements. So the people who want to use, they can use the supplement. But over here, we are left with nothing. So, as I said, the recommended level of fluoride by Health Canada in municipal water should be 0.6 to 0.7 milligram per liter. And below are the numbers from in-services provided based on their November 2021 levels, like Innisfil Lake Simcoe drinking water is like 0.06 milligram. So they are way less than what we need in our water. Sorry. So why we need now this community water fluoridation? Again, for two reasons. One, we want optimal level of fluoride in our water to prevent caries. And second, we do not have supplements available in the Canadian market. So I discussed with one of my friends who's dentist, like about this fluoride use. And he said, he's of my age, I am 60, so he's of my age. He said, like, they did a big study in India. I'm from India. And in that study, they found it to be a very useful, and over there, they were giving free fluoride supplement pills in their, through their public health system. I asked him why we stopped that thing. He said, like, then they came up with fluoride in the toothpaste. So people started thinking this toothpaste fluoride is sufficient, but it is not. First of all, the strength is less. And the second thing is, for the fluoride to be effective, it should stay in your mouth for 3-4 hours. So if we want fluoride from the toothpaste, we should not rinse our mouth after doing toothbrush. It is not possible. So fluoride in the toothpaste or in the mouthwash then becomes ineffective or very little effective. So how we can have this community water fluoridation? It will be only possible if our honorable council members, they approve this thing and register their name in the history book, like Innisfil restarted their community fluoridation of water program in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. If you could just stay in case there's any questions. Thank you. Questions from members of council. Councilor Waters, is that a question?
Half question. It would have been nice to have somebody from In-Services here to address any of the questions that we may have had in terms of towns, processes, and levels and things like that. So it was more of a comment than it is a question. So it'd be nice to be able to have somebody from In-Services here to do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Zanella.
Health Canada is revising the guidelines, and the document is supposed to be available in 2026. Do you know when that's going to be available? No.
I have no idea.
Thank you.
I have a couple, if I could, Dr. Sharma. So first of all, I know when my children were young, the doctor prescribed fluoride drops. You're saying they're not available in Canada anymore?
So I had problem with my teeth, and I found all around, couldn't get in Canada. I got from Germany the pills, fluoride pills. So that's why I know they are not available over the counter in Canada.
Okay, thank you for that. So I can tell you just a little bit about the province of Ontario back in about 2017 was looking, or no, it was before that, I believe, about 2014. They were looking at making it mandatory that all drinking water systems in Ontario added fluoride. The municipalities, the comments back to the province were that they would consider it if the province would pay for the infrastructure required to add the physical space onto the drinking water systems, particularly Innisfil Heights, Churchill, and Stroud, would have space limitations, and there are specific fluoride in its form, like when you have that amount in a building, there's special training for the operators for that amount, and you have to wear hazmat because it is dangerous to be close to fluoride when it's in bulk. The other thing that comes to mind is the fact that we would need to do a lot of community engagement, including with the town of Bradford, because we supply our municipal drinking water, we supply Bradford to with their water as well, so that they would have to be engaged as well. And then the final thing I want to say, and I know it's a small thing, but just for clarity, so New Tecumseh is beside us, that's Alliston, and yep. They don't manually add fluoride to their drinking water. Tecumseh is a place near Windsor, in Essex County, and they are the ones that took it away and added it again. I just wanted to clarify that because I know Tecumseh.
Yeah, I thought it is this town.
Yeah, and New Tecumseh get mixed up a lot. So, but thank you for your presentation. And then I guess the last thing I would say is, what's your recommendation then for people who are on well water?
So Again, as I said, there are two ways. One is community water fluoridation, other is the supplements, which should be over the counter, right? So if your office can help in that regard, like to provide supplements in the drugstores so that we can buy, that is second option. If there is space problem or funds problem, we should have some sort of thing, like we can supplement our fluoride.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Any other questions from anyone? I'm not seeing any. We have a recommendation that the presentation be received. Moved by Councillor Saunders, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Thank you so much for your time. It's much appreciated. Thank you. So if you want to have that conversation out, in the hallway, you're more than welcome to do that. But we have to carry on with our agenda, so thank you. Thanks for that. So we're on item 7, which is the part of the agenda where members of council who've been assigned separate duties to go and represent Innisfil, this is your time to report out. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've already managed the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee tonight, so that went pretty smoothly. Yesterday at County, we had an update on the Simcoe Village Campus project that is underway. There was a virtual tour, and plans for the future were discussed. It's apparently so popular that there's over a 300+ waiting list for people to come and when it's built to live there. They managed to fit in 5 additional retirement home suites for a reasonable price, considering the market. Everything was covered, from a covering parking structure to spaces for families and short-term units. It's coming along really well, and they're even incorporating things for dementia patients to make it easier to not have them lose sight of where they are and easily aid them in their journey. It was really incredible. They're at the tender. They're putting out tenders now and whatnot, so they're doing well. I just can't wait to see this new building come to fruition for the county, because we're taking care of our seniors here, and it's a growing population in Simcoe County, and it's something that we really need to address. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any committees to report out on? Seeing none, I have a couple. So I was at an Association of Municipalities of Ontario meeting last week. We had an update on the Indigenous Reconciliation Action Plan presented by Mayor Pilon. Mayor Pilon is the mayor of Wawa, and she's chair of the Indigenous Task Force. We had also an AMO board meeting. We talked about pre-budget submission to AMO, continuing with our call for new fiscal framework. Again, municipalities are responsible for 80% of the infrastructure in the province, and we get 10 cents of the tax dollar to look after it. We talked about the Healthy Democracy Project to get more names on the ballot in 2026. And we met for the first time our 3 new youth fellows. These are university students interested in government, and I'll tell you, they give me hope for our future. They're young, bright, passionate, hopeful, and such good speakers. It was wonderful to meet them. So each of those fellows will be partnered with a mentor for their time, and they'll be with us for about a year. And then I also, with my Simcoe County hat on, attended a funding announcement in Bradford, West Gwillimbury on Monday with Minister Evan Solomon. Minister Solomon is responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. Kumi Canada, which is a manufacturer in Bradford, received $9.3 million to invest in modernize operations and operate advanced technologies. So this is great for Bradford, but it's also really good for Innisfil. When I arrived, the first 2 people I met were employees of Kumi. Both lived, one lived in Stroud and one lived in Alcona. So it's great that they've got good paying jobs close to home. And then finally, I was also at the county yesterday with the deputy. Besides the Simcoe Village campus tour in Beaton, we did funding allocation for our 2026 homelessness prevention program, $27 million, which flows through the provincial government to approximately 25 service providers throughout the county. Money from that does come to Innisfil. We have a human services navigator at our Lakeshore Library branch that is paid for by the county. That person helps when people in crisis come to the library, people who are homeless or on the verge of homelessness. And we have a person who's trained in that capacity to help the librarians and look after those folks. So that's it for my update, and I'm not seeing any other hands. So now we'll go into the consent list agenda, and I'll ask anybody if they want to have more debate on any item to please pull the item and we can discuss it. So first is A1, the special council meeting minutes dated January 21st. A2, which is the special council meeting minutes dated January the 28th. And A3, which is the regular council meeting minutes from January the 28th. We'll then go to item B, so that's reports of our various committees. B1 was the Council Compensation Ad Hoc Review Committee from January 16th. And B2 was the Innisfil Sustainability Advisory Committee from January 7th. And then we'll go to staff report C. Staff report C1, which is the animal control bylaw amendments. Councillor Waters, do you want to pull for? I'd like to pull and ask some questions. Sure. Referred to committee. C2, the filing of the final engineer's report for the Hughes Drain improvement. Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. I don't want to pull it. I just want to let all the residents in Ward 7, where all these drains are located, that I've got tons of information here, so anybody that needs to discuss it any further can reach out to me personally. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. C3 is the second concession drain improvement. And C4 is the South Innisfil Creek Drain Branch B improvement. And C5 is the Prokopchuk Drain improvement. I also don't want to pull, but I will just ask about all three, I guess, of the drain improvement pieces. I would ask Mr. Ninehouse, will this be a surprise to any of the residents that are benefiting landowners in these drainage areas, or will they have heard about it?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. There might be a surprise to some. Some of the farmers have requested maintenance work to be done in the past couple of years for all three municipal drains. However, through the process under the Act, this is just step one. And once we come back and appoint an engineer on all three, there will be site meetings and everyone within the watershed will be notified.
Thank you, Mr. Ninehouse. Next is C6, that is the staff report which designates holiday and seasonal closures for this town. C7, which is the antenna system siting policy. Councillor Waters? Would you mind referring that for me? Because I had some questions on that one as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then item C8, the Stroud Arena and Banquet Hall temporary closure and repair. Councillor Ices.
I'd like to refer that to committee, please.
Thank you. Next, we've got D1, the municipal law activity Q4 and year-end report. Councillor Richardson.
I don't really necessarily need to pull it. I mean, yeah, okay. Can I pull that, please? Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. We'll pull that. D2, the building permits issued Q4 2025. I guess there'll be no Building Faster Fund money again this year. D3, the South Innisfil Creek drain improvements. Councillor Drudge.
Thanks, Schwartz. Again, just a comment, anything to do with South Innisfil Creek drain improvements. Ward 7, Fred Drudge, reach out to me personally. Thanks.
I just had one more comment as this monster project, I think Mr. Ninehouse referred to it as, reaches its 26th year, I want to say. That when we do get the final report with the, to come to council, I think we're going to have to work on a bit of a communications plan rolling out, because there'll be people who have moved into the community who won't have followed the history of this drain, and we'll need some catching up and to understand the Drainage Act and the province and OMAFRA and how it all comes together. Thank you. All right, and then we go to bylaws. So we have a bylaw to appoint Ann Norris as alternate deputy clerk. No one's pulling that, so Ann, congratulations. And then correspondence for information. We have the Bradford, West Gwillimbury, Innisfil Police Service Board meeting minutes from November the 19th. We have the meeting minutes from the Innisfil Public Library Board from December 8th. We have the Simcoe County Council highlights from January 27th. And we have the proclamation for Ontario Heritage Week. And that is everything. So we have no motions for which notice has been given. So then we'll go to the consent list recommendation, please. So only any items that were not pulled will be passed with the staff recommendation that is in the staff report. So only items that were pulled will be discussed further. And those were C1, C7, C8, and D1. And could I have a mover and a seconder, please, for the consent list recommendation? Moved by Councillor Drudge, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. And now we'll go to, that was, did you get who moved and seconded that? I'm sorry. Alternate deputy clerk? All right, so our consent list resolved to the committee of the whole, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. So we'll go to items, the first item, which was C1, and that's Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to just get some clarity after our presentations, just to ask some questions of staff. So there was one comment made that that Bradford seems to be doing it right. Could you maybe comment on terms of what's the difference between what Bradford currently does and what we're currently doing?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship to Councillor Waters, Bradford uses a bit of a hybrid system, which we're proposing tonight. So they have a staff level designation that doesn't involve the clerk in the process, but they do also use DOLA for more serious matters. So they have kind of a hybrid system.
So you're suggesting that what Bradford's doing is what we're planning on moving to then?
Correct. Yeah, sorry, just about. We would be having a staff level interim order designation,
right,
which would be similar to that process as well as DOLA. So it would be similar to what Bradford is doing. Yeah.
Anyone? Did you have more, Councillor Waters?
I was just looking for some clarification because the presentation had suggested Bradford was doing something different than we were. It seems that, according to Mr. Harris, that we're planning on moving to what they currently have then.
Mr. Harris?
Yeah, through your worship. So it's similar. I don't want to say it's exactly the same, but there is a staff level designation process, which this recommendation would add to our portfolio, as well as they do utilize DOLA as well for more serious matters.
Thank you.
Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Fowler?
Thank you, Your Worship. I've done some research into the surrounding communities, and I've learned that everyone handles it a little differently. There are some things that did come to light that I'm curious why we didn't follow up with or engage with the community regarding. Initially, on page 2 of the report, it states that from the initial complaint or inquiry commencing by the clerk, this process can take upwards of 25 working days. When we sent this back to staff, we were asking for a comparative update of how long we would go through the DOLA system. In the DOLA section, there is no time frame. That still leaves me with the same question: which one is faster? And if we do such a thing, how long would it take to work through the provincial system? It doesn't gel in that regard. That's one point. The second one I'm going to ask about is, like, if you take a look at Toronto, Toronto has a website with a map of listed of dangerous dogs. And it's not so much the dogs that we're concerned about, it's about the owners who are very careless with their animals. And such, they have the breed and the location all across Toronto. Now, I know Toronto's the only one that has the website, but other communities have signs that are put on the lawn once it's put into play. They have lists for people that are moving in the community. If they wish to know, they can ask bylaw, you know, are there any dangerous dogs? Here is a list of recorded incidents within the community. Why were none of these things investigated or brought forth as a potential option, as opposed to simply passing it off to the provincial government? I'm just trying to get clarification on that, please.
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, the Deputy Mayor Fowler. For your first question around the timelines, it's hard to pinpoint a timeline through the provincial system because each case is case by case. What I can say with the chart and the report is, from an immediate sense, the hybrid approach would be the faster option. We would be able to issue that staff level designation on day one while we're working through the provincial process, which affords us stronger measures against the dog and the dog owner. So hopefully that answers your question around the timelines. There's no set timeline in the provincial system. We see anywhere from a month to 4 months on average, but it does really depend on the courts and how the case plays out. For the location data on dangerous dogs, I'd have to take that back to see if we're able to publish that or how Toronto does it. I know their rules are a bit different. We do, through the provincial process, when we apply for a DOLA order through the courts, we can list certain provisions in that order, one being signage requirement. So we have in the past, and we will continue to go forward to advocate for the dangerous dog signage when it warrants that. So we have done that in the past, and we can continue to do that in the future through the DOLA process.
Go ahead, Deputy.
Thank you for clarifying that. The final question I have, and I'm not trying to be confrontational in this regard, but I have a very simple question. If we're able to do it under Charter 8, why do we need to do it through DOLA then? If we can do this in-house, if we have the same measures and abilities to do so with the signage, we can see about that, or not, and again, not a website even just a list of locations where there have been situations where dangerous dogs have been designated. Why can't we just simply alter our path? If it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of scenario? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but that's what I'm trying to comprehend.
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship to Deputy Mayor, the reason why we're recommending the DOLA process is because there's a few benefits through the provincial process. So one being the notification of if a dog moves. So under the DOLA process, if we get an order and the dog moves out of jurisdiction, that municipality will be notified. And we've actually been the recipients of that notification, which we've appreciated. So a dog from out of jurisdiction comes to Innisfil, we're aware of it, we can follow up to make sure that order is being maintained and ensure licensing, all the other requirements are met. There's also more options, a broader range of options in the DOLA system based on the scenario, based on multiple offenses as well. So where we might seek a muzzle order for a first offense or a containment order. If we have to go back, there's more options available to us for stricter measures up to and including destruction of a dog, prohibition order on an owner to own a dog, as well as far as jail time and fines for the dog owner. So it gives us more tools for us to be able to operationally make that decision based on the situation in front of us.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Waters.
Question back to Mr. Harris. What, in the hybrid model, part of when I read the report was that DOLA can be a slow-moving process. And so the reason for the hybrid model was to allow us to be able to intervene. Could you give me some examples of what bylaw officers can do under our hybrid model that would make the community a safer place in terms of dealing with that dangerous dog?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, to Councillor Waters. So it would give us the ability to issue an interim order immediately. So where through the current just DOLA model that we've been operating on, there can be delays in getting that order in place and protecting the community, where with the hybrid model, we can action at the municipal level that order immediately while we're working through the court process, while we're seeking kind of the the stronger measures and fines through the DOLA process.
Gentlemen. Just go ahead. Okay. Can you give me some specific examples of, like, in terms of, can we demand muzzling? Can we demand other things with the dog? Or can we go as far as taking the dog away, depending on the severity of the attack that happens?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, to Councillor Waters. Seizure of a dog is through the court, so that's a bit of a different process. But the options we have are broad on the interim level as well, on the staff level in the hybrid model. So to your point, yes, we can order muzzle. We can order confinement to the property, as well as different measures we find through the DOLA processes, ensuring someone that is walking the dog is able to control them, so typically of a certain age, of a certain physical ability. So there's no set list that we want to confine ourselves to, but the options can be broad based on the scenario. Yeah.
In terms of fines, can we issue fines?
So through that process, yes, and we do, and we will even with that interim order. So just to kind of back up through the hybrid order, we would still have that interim ability while going through court. So the fines would still happen. We would still issue those charges under the bylaw, under the Dog Owners Liability Act. That would still continue. We would just have this ability to order the muzzle quicker.
Sorry, I have one question just leads to another, so I apologize for the details. So what is the maximum fine that we can issue as a municipality without DOLA being part of it, in terms of, can we issue a fine on our own concerning that animal under the hybrid model?
Through your worship, it's dependent on the court, so it's based on a recommendation from the officer and the prosecutor to the courts. We are looking at administrative penalties, to be expanded, which then we could set a fine and issue that fine immediately. But the current process we have would need us to go to court and then advocate for the fine based on the scenario. So it's typically up to $5,000. DOLA is a little bit higher, up to $10,000 per count. But I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
So I think you got the drift of where I was going with this in terms of an AMPS way of penalizing these people, so it allows us to increase the fines that are available? So is that a direction that, under the hybrid model, we can take this?
Mayor Dolan, I think I'll jump in there. So council's aware we've implemented the AMPS program. We've been applying it to varying bylaws. So as those bylaw amendments come forward, we're transitioning bylaws over to the AMPS model and those fines being collected. As Mr. Harris has indicated, because this will continue to be a hybrid approach, that would be developed through the AMPS program as we bring those bylaws forward to council later this spring-ish, but this year for sure. And then we would continue to be able to apply the fines through DOLA because it is that hybrid approach.
Thank you.
Other questions? I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments. The first comment, I'm glad to see the right of entry, that closing that gap, that was an important piece of it. The idea of it being under the authority of the clerk is based on the fact that the author of the original dangerous dog bylaw was Clerk Landry when he was here, and he retired, I want to say 18 to 20 years ago. So it is time that this is updated. I like the idea of the hybrid, being able to have the DOLA, because like you said, because Barrie, Bradford, Oro-Medonte, New Tecumseh, Aurelia, Springwater, and ESSA all uses DOLA. If any dangerous dog moves into our community from any of those municipalities or anyone that uses DOLA, we'll know that that's a dangerous dog and we'll have that head start. But I do like the fact that we now have some teeth with the hybrid model that we can use to, in the interim, so that there isn't that period to wait. I also like the idea of this being tried by a justice of the peace who's given proper training as opposed to council. Council has no problem making tough decisions. We do it every day, but we make tough decisions on things that we are trained to do and taught to do, and not on dangerous dogs that we aren't trained to do. So having the JP is definitely a help. And that's all I had. Oh, I did have one question. That was about the right of entry. So the right of entry is not, obviously not a residence, it's the property, but is it like if there's a shed or a dog kennel or whatever, does that give the officer right of entry into that area?
Through your worship, so yeah, the right of entry provision would only apply to lands. So no structures that would be used for habitation. So it could extend to a outside run or a kennel, as well as a shed, but not anything used or intended to be used as a dwelling.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Just one more question, if I may, regarding DOLA. I understand it was brought in the 90s. When was the last update to DOLA that they've moved the law forward, that they've updated with the times, like, you know, they revised it? Do you have that information at all?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, I can get that information for you. I don't know the last revision date exactly, but that's something we can definitely get back to you. Yep.
Would that be through the Ministry of the Attorney General's office, Mr. Harris? Is that where DOLA is, the act is, rests?
I would have to confirm that as well, but I believe so. It is with the province, and I believe that's the branch, yes, but we can confirm that. Yep.
So if we felt that DOLA wasn't strict enough, if we knew what ministry it was, we could advocate to that ministry to change the act, to tighten it up or make the fines higher, or, okay, Thank you. All right, good discussion, but we need a seconder, Councillor Waters. Thank you. Any final questions or comments before I call for the vote? All those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? That's carried. And now we'll go to item C7, and that's the antenna siting policy. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just looking for some clarification. When I first read this and I heard the word antenna, I was thinking of the 60-foot antenna that was on the back of my house when I grew up. And so I just want to confirm that when we're talking about cell towers, this applies to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Through you, Mayor Dolan. Yes, the antenna system siting policy has some definitions, I think, in there. And yeah, it's essentially referring to larger scale ones for the most part. It does offer exemptions for those that are under 15 meters in height from ground level.
But I guess what I like is my definition of antennas. That's what it is. But in terms of what we're talking about here, they're talking mostly about cell towers. That's what we're aiming at. Anything under, I think it was 15 meters, was not part of the process.
Through you, Mayor Dolan. Yes, we've actually updated the policy to align with the latest federal regulations that came out in 2022. The previous ones were from 2014 that our policy protocol was based on there, and those ones, yeah, they focus on those that are over 15 meters in height from above ground level, not used for, essentially, yeah, for those used for, yes, telecommunications industry, generally speaking.
And one final question. There are no cell towers that are under 15 meters. They're all over, I would assume they're all over 15 meters because...
Through you, Mayor Dolan, I can't speak specifically to that question, but yeah, seen in our policies, I definitely look into that there, but generally the policies, you could tell, are focused on the telecom industry towers there.
Thank you. I was just looking for some clarification on that. Nothing to add to it or change it. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? I did have a couple. So yes, this is mostly cell towers, Councillor Waters. And I liked the policy of adding that you needed a bona fide customer before building one, because I do sit on the board of Enterprises, which is in the business of building towers and particularly encouraging many users to go on one versus having everybody build their own. But what some private enterprises are doing now is applying for a tower with nobody on it and then trying to go out and find customers for it after the fact. So I love that change. I am a little concerned about the change that the towers that are 15 meters or below no longer would require public consultation. And I wondered if that would be, in my mind, if you're a 15-meter tower and you're in a transmission station or you're behind a hospital or in a more industrial area, I don't see that being a problem. But if you were in a infill community and even a 15-meter tower, I think you'd want to go to public consultation. But how do we still have the pieces in there? I should know this and I don't. Do we still have the pieces in there about distance from residents, even if it's 15 meters? Sorry, I'm calling you Michael because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up your last name. Bodanowicz.
Through you, Mayor Dolan. Yes, I mean, there's still towers that require municipal concurrence in there.
Thank you. And how close can they be to a residential home?
For you, Mayor Dolan, there's a preferred separation distance outlined in the policy there. I can put up there.
Mayor Dolan, while he's looking that up, just to clarify, the exemption from the public consultation process on the 15-meter tower is actually the federal regulation. So we've implemented that into the policy because it is a requirement that they do not need the municipal consent, and it is not subject to public consultation. So it wasn't by choice. That is the requirement.
Well, that totally makes sense, because I think it would just enrage people if we had public consultation and the federal government said, we're not paying attention because it's under 15 meters, so.
Oh, sorry, through you, Mayor Dolan there. Just to bring up the preferred separation distance is defined in the protocol. It's a minimum of 120 meters or 3 times the height of the tower, if greater, away from existing or improved residential dwellings or school sites.
Thank you. So I think that was the same as in the last iteration, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Councillor Waters, can I ask if you could get a seconder for that one, please? Councillor Richardson, thank you. And all in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Next, we go on to item C8, which is the Stroud Arena Banquet Hall temporary closure and repair. And I'll go to Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. Your Worship, you've agreed to be seconder on this motion, so I'd like to have that, to put it on the floor. I was thinking a lot about this week and lots of discussion about Stroud, and of course it brought me back to, I don't know exactly the year, but it was probably really close to 1975 when my mother brought me into the Stroud Library and I got my first library card. And that memory really sits with me, and being able to walk through the aisles and pick out a Hardy Boy book. I'll really date myself there, and I guess they still have them. So I had that come to me as we talked about Stroud, and then of course I'm sure council's read all the many emails that we've got from residents, and I really want to thank the residents for putting that voice forward. A lot of times when we sit up here as councillors to an empty space, we still take the decisions that we make very, very seriously. And that I think for me as Ward 1 councillor, this is definitely a serious one where we're talking about the core of Stroud. Thinking back to the Heritage Committee where we had the Heritage Walk through Stroud, and that corner is such an important part of Stroud. So with that, I brought this motion forward, and I am definitely in favor of the staff report to spend the Stroud Arena Emergency Repair Fund to get that in motion to get this valued community space up and going again. Another comment that's come through some of the emails, I know it's on social media, that I wanted to bring out is there seems to be a thread with some people that there's an opportunity here for council to sell this property off, to put high rises on it, and I think if you thought that one through, that would be definitely political suicide for any council to sell off or develop the main community space in a town in that way. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but that would be that's never even been a an ounce of thought and put towards a strategy like that. So I do have some questions for staff in this process, but I don't know if I want other councillors to comment on that and on the motion at hand.
Thank you, Councillor Ices. The first thing I'd like to do is just if the clerk marshal, if you could let us know the correspondence that's come, just to ensure people that we did receive them and we did read them.
Thank you, Your Worship. Clerks have received 22 items of correspondence regarding this specific agenda item, and all that correspondence has been provided to Council.
Thank you for that. I want to thank everybody who took time to answer and to give members of council an opportunity to hear your words. A couple of things that resonated with me was that it's an important part of people's daily lives, people of all ages. Somebody said it's tied to the identity of Stroud. Somebody talked about the income it brings to local businesses in the community, the social infrastructure. And then one person wrote, it's a question of how it can be done, and this community will come together to make it happen. Fundraisers, committees, whatever it takes. So I want to say that thank you for that. I also want to reiterate, because we have got a couple of letters suggesting that this is somehow tied to some condo development. So I just want to quell the rumors right there and say that this land is owned by the town of Innisfil, not by a developer. It is zoned CS. CS means community service. So that land is for community service. Even if you thought that, you know, if you didn't trust council and you thought they were going to secretly sell it to a developer who could build a condo, they couldn't, because it's zoned community service. They'd have to rezone it to residential, which there'd be signs up, there'd be a public meeting process. So just know that the intent never was to do anything other than provide community service on this land. Back in 2018, we did do a consultation with the community up in the Stroud, the banquet facility there. We had lots of boards up with reimagining what the property could be someday. And we heard loud and clear from the community that they liked it the way it was. Nothing has changed since then. The only thing that has changed is that Barrie has announced that they're doing a large rec center a few minutes down the road, but it's in Barrie. And Barrie residents will want it to be for Barrie residents. Just like our residents don't take it very nicely if we give any ice time to anyone other than Innisfil residents. So we know we can't count on Barrie, we need to count on ourselves. So with that, I'll pass it off to anyone else who'd like to make a comment at this time. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say two things. I'm 100% in favor of the emergency repairs. I just have a question for Director Bowman, as we had a really good conversation today, and I just think the public should hear the answer to this question. My question to Director Bowman was, should we decide not to repair this and from the ground up rebuild the Stroud Arena to a comparable arena within Ontario, what's the timeline from the start to the opening of it? And for today's dollar value, what is the approximate dollar value that the cost would be for this whole project?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Saunders, thank you for the question. A couple of components to that. First of all, we don't know what this future version of Stroud could be that we're costing, but I can give you kind of a comparable and then a per square foot cost. So the city of North Bay is presently building a twin pad facility with a large community gathering space, quite a number of change rooms, and an indoor walking track. So it's a bit of a multi-purpose space. It's not just straight pads, and there are two. That project is currently in the build phase for a total price tag of $63 million. Half of which is being funded by the federal government, and they also have the benefit of a casino within their community as well that's also partially funding this. So that works out to about $851 per square foot. Theirs is a 74,000 square foot facility. That's, again, multi-use per square foot. Straight for just our arena ice square foot is usually around 600, or that's the most recent estimate that we have. So if you just look at the two comparisons, $600 per square foot to $851 per square foot for new facilities at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Yes, this is just a quick question to Director Bowman. It was mentioned in one of the comments about what sort of preventative maintenance was being done to mitigate or to foresee basically something like this happening. What sort of stuff plans do we have for that?
Director Bowman.
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Richardson. Thank you for that question. I was actually hoping to to clarify that. So I'm really proud of our facilities team who does monthly inspections within all of our facilities. But we also have a dedicated group of operators. Some of those are in the room tonight, and they care deeply about this facility. And often we become alerted to issues that are happening within our facilities earlier than those inspections. So we do have a robust plan in place for this facility and for others.
Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. First of all, I want to say that I wholeheartedly agree that the social benefits that Stroud Arena provides are needed in Stroud. So I don't want to quite, and it's obvious from the statistics that we were given that it's well utilized. I remember when I first came on council, which was 7 years ago, is one of the first things we dealt with was Stroud Arena. It was the roof was leaking, and at that time was put to council, should we correct it and spend the money on it? And we agreed that the people of Stroud wanted it, and so we agreed to keep it. However, now we have walls crumbling, we have leaks in the building. The building needs to be replaced. In our infrastructure plan, do we have a plan? Because I'm not suggesting we tear it down and leave nothing. But what I'm suggesting is that we need a new facility there that does a much better job in terms of much more efficient. Is there anything in our infrastructure plans that see a replacement for that arena over time, considering that we just increased the settlement area of Stroud? DCs, I believe, would go to paying for part of this as part of that development. Is there anything in our plans, infrastructure plans, to replace the Stroud Arena as opposed to this ongoing, the operational costs and the repair costs keep getting higher and higher? At some point in time, we all make the decisions. You have plans for your vehicles in terms of replacements. Do we have a plan for this facility? Thank you.
Director Bowman.
Actually, Mayor Dolan, I think I'll take that one.
I'm
That's okay.
sorry, Director Lee, of course.
No problem. So, Councillor Waters, you will notice the third bullet point in the resolution speaks to the business case analysis work. So in the 2026 capital plan, there was the business case for the Stroud Arena site, library, curling club, and what the future could look like, which would include community consultation. Similar to the consultation that had occurred back in 2018 as we were going through some of the master plans. So that would look at the future of a replacement facility in that location, what types of facilities should be in that structure, what are the community needs that need to be addressed. And so we would be moving forward with retaining a consultant to support the town staff, obviously the library, because the library is also there, so it would be a coordinated business case analysis that would be presented back to council later this year is the intent. And then in our 10-year capital plan, we do have funds that have been identified that would be required to be approved by council for the design and construction of that replacement facility.
Thank you. And just a quick clarification. Was there, at the time when we first, and then you were not director at the time, so I don't know if you'll know what the answer is, or Mayor Dolan might know what the answer is. Did we take a look at that replacement back in, I guess it was 2018, when we had the first roof leak and this was going to be an ongoing issue? Did we at that time decide to replace it, or have we just been repairing it since then with no plan? And this is where this is going to take us now, which I wholeheartedly agree. I like to see. Thank you.
So Mayor Dolan, I'm not going to maybe answer the 2018 question. What I will say, though, is as we completed the facilities master plan and the land and lake plan, there were recommendations, as well as the library's master plan. All of those included recommendations to assess and review the facility, and those have been done within the period of time from 2018 to current day. So those all contemplate this process that we're now undertaking.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Fowler?
Thank you, Worship. When I think of the Stroud Arena, it's so multifaceted, it's incredible. I think it's the heart and soul of Stroud right now. So I wholeheartedly support this. We need to keep it open currently while we plan for the future. To take out, this would be like taking out the heart out of Stroud. If you take a look, we've had multiple markets. We've had fashion markets, food markets, the pop-up markets multiple times during the year. We've had interfaith symposiums. We've had town halls up there where we've discussed the future plans for the community. I've been there for the last year. We had the Love the Legion event. I believe it was in Stroud. Everywhere uses this space. The kids can walk there. There's no transit required for the community. They can walk to a safe space where they can be educated or learn. They've got courses. The hockey teams that come here, these are the kids that grow up on the ice. Like, this is too valuable an asset to shut down even temporarily. I think that right now we need to keep it running, keep breathing life into it as much as humanly possible. And if the plan comes back that we can build better, we start that process and then we can transition over and the services will not be interrupted. If we can do such a thing in a proper manner where we can build and maybe move it over at that point, that's one possibility, but we have to get the report back to see how that would play out. And at that point in time, if we plan for the future, when the water sewer comes up to Stroud and the DC charges increase, then we can see what we can do at that point in time. But at this point in time, it's too important just to shut down even for a day, in my opinion.
Councillor Zanella?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the emergency repairs, do we know how long it will take to do those repairs?
Director Bowman?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Zanella, we're not 100% sure right now. Unfortunately, we still need to do some further investigation in order to get greater clarity on the timeline. What we do know is that our ICE users in particular will be very concerned with that start date, October being when they usually get back on the ice. To have that happen, staff need to be able to put the ice in September. So we need to continue on now, rapidly as possible, to finish the investigation, make sure we know the full scope of the issue, and then we will be able to do the procurement. And once we're in that step, we will know for sure what the timelines are for the construction.
Thank you.
I'll go back to you, Councillor Ices, if you're ready. Oh, sorry, Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just for some clarity on the investigation, I'm assuming you'd have to tear sections of the building down to understand the extent and the timelines for repair. Is that correct?
Through Your Worship, to Councillor Drodge, yes, there is one piece that we haven't been able to investigate because it involves going into the arena side on the ice. So the piece that has to happen is we need to brace the current wall to make it safe for staff and contractors to be in that area. Once it's braced, we can remove the ice, and once the ice is out, we can get a lift in and we can get up to the ceiling to check the last spot that still holds a bit of a question mark for us. Once we have that, we'll have a pretty solid game plan.
Perfect, thank you. And just the other thing, in open forum tonight, one of the residents mentioned that Barrie found a way to kind of offset their costs by by getting Peggy Hill to help pay for that. Does the town of Innisfil do anything along those lines? Do we look at those kinds of avenues?
Who wants to take that one? Director Bowman or Director Lee?
I'll take that one for now.
We've
Mayor
got the
Dolan.
Cordalucci rink, you'll know, in the rec center, so I'm just saying.
I guess what I mean is, in this project, are we thinking outside the box a little bit? Like, I obviously, definitely, we should use our reserves to get this going. We don't want to slow it down, but as this is progressing, are we thinking about finding other avenues to kind of offset the cost?
Yes, to answer that, yes, we're always looking for alternative funding sources, and the mayor's provided an example of where we have bestowed naming rights on a building for donations. There are certainly other cases, and through a sponsorship or grants program, those are the type of initiatives we can take, but we're also looking for other grants or other funding sources that may become available for projects such as this.
I'm going to break in right there, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Waters, because I think that's the segue into, so depending on how the vote goes tonight, assuming it's successful, I've asked staff to nominate Stroud for the Kraft Hockeyville award, honor. It comes with a $250,000 award and a game. But it requires the community to get behind it and share the heck out of it. And if we get the same kind of compassion and dedication to Kraft Hockeyville as we get to this situation we're in right now, I think we have a really good chance. So that you'll see it up hopefully tomorrow. Go ahead, Councillor Waters.
Just a point about thinking outside the box. When Councillor Ices was talking about the idea of, selling the land off and that kind of stuff, that wasn't part of the deal. However, an example in the city of Toronto, Northern Secondary School on Eglinton and Mount Pleasant, they had a fairly large piece of property, and the Board of Education in Toronto has very little money. And they decided that they partnered with a developer to build condos, and they rebuilt the entire school free of charge to the Board of Education on the same land. So it was an innovative funding arrangement between a developer. I'm not suggesting we do that here, but I'm just saying that if funding is an issue, that there are other innovative ways to give Stroud a state-of-the-art facility and still maintain it under public control.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Councillor Ices now.
Thank you, Worship. Definitely, there's financial unknowns in this type of repair. And so I did bring a amendment to the motion forward, just so if we find some unknowns, we can have the discussion back here at council level about how to move forward. And the old car analogy has come up many times. If in this process we find that it's not worth putting any more repairs into this old car, council has the ability to pivot to another option that we find better for the community. The amendment to the motion speaks about timelines. That was brought up. Director Bowman mentioned that if the repairs cannot be done in a timely way for the next season, that it may come back to council as well. So I don't know if I need my seconder to agree to that amendment, but that's what I put up there.
Yeah, I like being in the know. I don't like unknowns, but I totally understand why we don't know what we don't know right now. But we do need to know if this is 1 million or 10 million. So staff have the authority to spend up to the 1,080,000 and come back and let us know about the the scope and the timelines. And speaking of timelines, the question is in regards to our ice allocation policy. So should the ice not be able to be open at the beginning of the season? Our ice allocation policy, I just want to be clear, makes it that the minor groups have first choice of ice before any other groups at the other 3 ice pads. Could you just confirm that for me, please, Director Bowman?
That's correct, Mayor Dolan. Specifically, our minor organizations, resident use, local junior hockey, all are first. All of our local uses come before our regional uses.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion as amended? Okay, I'm going to call the vote. I don't think we need to do this recorded because I think I know the outcome, but all those in favor of the motion? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everybody. Now we can move on to item C8. I'm sorry, that was C8, D1, which is the municipal law activity report, and that was Councillor Richardson.
Councillor Stroud will be my seconder. I just have a quick question. I love charts and stuff like that, so I really appreciate all the numbers and figures that you gave us. Two quick questions. So I'm looking at for parking penalties and stuff, and so about the overnight parking in Q1 and Q4. I just want to know how we can help, because that seems to be an issue. I know that some residents have complained about the snowplows not being able to get to properly plow streets because cars are parked there. So how can we as council help to really educate residents that you just can't park on the road like at night, like you've got to move so that not just you, it's your whole neighborhood is going to benefit, that your street can be plowed properly. And with that, I'm curious if there is a lot of repeat offenders to that, and do the fines increase? Like if it is a repeat offender over and over again, the same person who's just, I don't care, I'm parking on the road because I'm parking on the road.
Mr. Harris.
Through your worship, to Councillor Richardson. To answer your last question first, the fines don't increase, but what we can do is tow vehicles, and we have before, and we will. So typically after multiple offenses, if a vehicle is in the same location, we have that authority to tow. We also have the authority to issue multiple offenses. So while the fine value might not increase, they can receive more than one offense. For your first question, I mean, we're always trying to push out that message that, vehicles have to be off the road in order for plow operations to conduct their operations properly. It's a continual struggle. We're out there every night trying to send that message through our proactive enforcement. But I would say, just from a communication perspective, the more the public knows that it impedes the snowplows and the consequences, I think that would be good. Yep.
Is it possible to, would it be a bylaw change to make it so that the fines would increase if this was more like your second and third, as opposed to waiting for it to be 3 and then it's a tow? Like if the second time is double and triple type of thing?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, so through our kind of administrative penalty expansion, we can definitely look at that. I believe that is an option that we can bring back. Other bylaws, other municipalities do have stepped fines based on offenses, so we can definitely take that back and look at that.
Thank you. And my other quick question is regarding the fail to display permit and fail to display resident permit. Again, now this one's mostly in the summer, so I'm going to assume that the fail to display permit means that it's resident or it's visitors coming and parking at the beach and not paying the fine, paying the parking. Is that what that is? And so same thing. Repeat offenders are getting fined, and they're being towed, or how does that work? Because those look like bigger numbers. That's all.
Through your worship, we don't have as many because it's transient with the visitors come in. We don't see the second offenses on the same plate as much. But yeah, so for failed display permit, that's if you park in a parking lot that requires payment, and they don't make that payment. For failed display resident permit, it's in areas where residents are only permitted to park, like Lot D in Innisfil Beach Park, the 9th line resident lot, 10th line resident lot, Mapleview, et cetera. One thing I will know, while these numbers are high, we do see many residents get tickets because they fail to display or they don't have their pass. So we administratively can cancel those and issue the pass and educate them. So while that number is high, I would say those aren't all like non-residents parking in those areas. Yeah.
So for those specifically, is there repeat offenders?
Through your worship, we're tracking that a little bit better now through our AP process. So I don't have that answer for you, but it is something we're looking at because that's something through the screening process that we can address if there's multiple tickets for the same plate.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Constantine.
How many tickets a car get before they're towed?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, the Councillor Constantine. It depends. So there's not a set number of tickets. A vehicle might get towed with one ticket, depending on if it's obstructing traffic in such a way that's dangerous. And in some cases, we might wait till the second or third ticket, depending on the situation.
I have a question regarding the parking penalties sent to plate denial. So, so if people get a reminder and then final notice is sent out and they don't pay their parking ticket, we send it to the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, and they deny plate renewal when it's time to renew their license plate. Now that we no longer pay for our license plate renewal, is this still working as well? Does MTO follow through? Like, I know even though we don't pay for our license plate anymore, we're still supposed to renew it online. And I just wondered if people are thinking now there's no repercussion because they don't have to pay for their license anymore. Is that a fair question? Mr. Harris?
Through your worship? Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's a good question. So the way the plate system works now in Ontario is if you don't have a fine or a toll charge, your plate typically gets renewed automatically. If there is a charge, either a parking fine or a toll road fine, that needs to be paid before the plate's renewed. So that would put the plate into default, and there's other consequences for that. And we get monthly statements from the MTO on tickets being paid through that process, and we're still getting those, and it's working. Yeah.
Very good. That's good. I was on the AMO board when we got that piece of advocacy through, so I'm glad to see that it's still working. Any other questions or comments on that item? Seeing none. All in favor of the recommendation to receive for information? That is carried. And next, we'll go to the RISE recommendation, please, moved by Deputy Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. We have to adopt the recommendations from Committee of the Whole, a resolution moved by Councillor Drudge, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. And then we have our notice of motion. So this motion will be debated and voted on at our next council meeting. It's about sustainable police funding. And next we go to announcements. And I'll start with Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. This upcoming Family Day weekend, you can participate in a free public skate on February the 15th, the Sunday, at the IRC from 10:15 to 11:15. And also on the holiday Monday, February 16th, the Innisfil Historical Society has their Family Day event, 1 p.m. at Knox Community Hall.
Thank you. Councillor Constantine, do you have any announcements? Councillor Richardson.
I just wanted to share to thank everyone that braved the cold on Saturday for Winter Fun Day at Town Square. I love seeing it full of people. Despite the cold, they did have over 900 visitors. Families enjoyed story time, the hack lab, crafts, Olympic-themed activities, green screen, face painting, which was just phenomenal, balloon animals, rolling entertainers, and vendors that were both inside and out. Right now, currently, there's lots of volunteer opportunities for your high school students to get their hours, both at Lakeshore and the Cookstown branches. At Lakeshore on Tuesdays is Reading Buddies, and Thursdays is Kid Creators. So if you've got kids that are graduating this year that are needing some volunteer hours, they should make sure they pop over there. You can also head over to the Lakeshore branch and watch the Olympics at the library. Tomorrow at 12:20 till 3 o'clock is the luge, and Friday from 1 till 4:05 is the men's curling, and it's Canada versus Sweden. Just to add about the library's Human Services Navigator, Angela, she's available 4 days a week supporting individuals experiencing challenges with homelessness or precarious housing, food insecurity, poverty, unemployment, mental health crisis, and addiction. So make sure you reach out to her if you need her services. And also just to save the date, February 28th at the library from 10 till 3 is Radiant Roots, the Black Cultural Expo. And then at 4 p.m. is the first annual Coldest Night of the Year event by Catholic Family Services.
Thank you. A busy ward. Councillor Ward 4, Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. A couple items to mention. On February 21st, there's the Polar Bear Dip that's being organized by Ice Corp. I'm sure there's going to be a few people. I think Deputy Mayor participated in that one time. I'll go watch. February 17th is Pancake Tuesday at Sunset Grill, and pancakes are $2.
Thank you. Councillor Zanella. No announcements. Councillor Saunders.
March 7th is the RVH Polar Bear Dip, where you donate for the RVH Hospital. Cove Cafe will be putting a team in, and I'll be jumping in yet again. I want to thank everybody that attended and supported the Fall in Love with the Legion dance last Saturday. We had almost 100 people at the dinner. We had a really good time. And Councillor Icey asked me to say, he forgot to say, the Ramadan dinner last night with the Ahmadiyya Society was very well attended by all.
Thank you. Yes, it was. Councillor Drotch.
Thanks, Your Worship. On February 17th, there's a pancake supper from 5 to 7 happening at St. Peter's Church in Churchill and also at St. John's Church in Cookstown. February 28th, there's a snow tubing slide for winter weekends at the Cookstown Community Park, starting at 10 a.m. February 20th to March 8th, South Simcoe Theatre is putting off a play called The Gravitational Pull of Bernice Trimble. And on a sadder note, a good friend of the family of mine has passed away yesterday. His name was Ed Collins. He was 93 years old, survived by his wife, Maggie. They were married for 50 years. He's also a member of the Legion for 30 and a member of St. Peter's Church for 30 years. We will be having a funeral on February 21st at 2 p.m. at St. Peter's to celebrate his life.
Thank you, Councillor Drotch. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I only have one. That's the Innisfil Community Church on February 15th. After service is going to be holding a bake sale. Everything has been donated, and all the funds are going towards their missions that go across the ocean and down into the Caribbean to assist those in need. So if you want some homemade sweets, it's really nice. Come by. It's made with love, and it's all for a good reason. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks to everybody who's been coming out to winter weekends. The breakfast, the pancake breakfast that we had to start it all, we had 750 people come. So thank you for all of council being there to help out. I also want to thank the second Innisfil Beavers for coming out and having a tour of Town Hall. I had a blast, and they even crashed the Sustainability Committee that night, and they kind of liked that too. So it was great fun, and they learned a little bit about local government, which is our goal. And then the other thing I want to say is this Saturday here at Town Hall, I believe we have 11 or 12 couples signed up to get married. or renew their vows, and all the proceeds from that day will be donated to the Troy Scott Community Fridge. So thank you to all the officiants who are involved in that. And then a couple of other items. One is there was a fire on Mary Lou Street in the last couple of weeks. And if you notice, the fire hydrants were all under a big snowbank, and it took extra time for the firefighters to dig out the snowbank. So I know we're all sick of shoveling. We've done enough shoveling this year, but if you do have a fire hydrant in front of your home, it could help you. It could save you if it's shoveled out so that the firefighters can get to it quickly and efficiently. And then finally, I want to congratulate members of the Economic Development team. So the Economic Development Council of Ontario, EDCO, had their conference, and Innisfil, Laura Thompson and her team won the Planning and Strategic Development Award on our Innisfil Heights Investment Readiness Plan. So we beat out everyone else and brought home the trophy. And also our very own Lauren McEachran and her team won the Bright Ideas Award for her idea about making Canada one market. So we've got some bright minds and some very passionate people here in our community to help bring community development to our town. So with that, I will see if there's anything for the greater good of the corporation, and there's not, and we'll go to the confirming bylaw and adjournment at 9 o'clock. A lot earlier than I thought we were going to be done. Councillor Richardson and Councillor Drodge, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely family day. Good evening.